Hey guys, this is Jonathan Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and I have Trudi Weickum with me right now of Panhandle Power Wash Supply and of Classic Touch Pressure Washing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing awesome. So I'm honored to have you on here. I know that you contribute so much to the exterior cleaning industry, and I was like, what better way to go ahead and have you contribute more than to get you on the podcast? Because I know a lot of exterior cleaning businesses listen to us, and I know for you, I like really admire how you really give out free training, how you are always just there to help everybody.
Well, thank you. I've been in the industry a long time, and a lot of people helped me out in the beginning. And I attended a lot of free training events. And when I was put in this position to open Panhandle and have more time, I could give back to the contractors and just pay it forward for what everything that everybody's done for me.
No, of course, of course. And so that's awesome. So one thing that I want to go over right now is just like tell us a little bit of background. We're gonna go over like how you got started in both Panhandle Power
Yeah.
Wash Supply and also Classic Touch Pressure Washing. But can you right now just talk about both of your companies and like what Panhandle Power Wash Supply does and Classic Touch Pressure Washing?
Okay, well, Classic Touch Pressure Washing, as you know, we've been around quite a few years.
Mhm.
I go out, obviously it's pressure washing, soft washing. We do a lot of commercial. We have a commercial trailer, which
Mhm.
I actually pull because I'm too short to reach in the back of trucks, kids. So I pull the trailer regardless if it's commercial or residential.
Mhm.
And we have two truck skids just for residential. And I actually use that right now as a way to test chemicals and products and
Mhm.
equipment. When somebody asks me, hey, can you carry my chemical? I always tell them to send me some. I go out in the field, I use it, I do a video. And I just did that with the EBC. So I'm so happy that I'm able to still go out in the field. I
Mhm.
try to do as much as possible and able to tie the two companies in together.
Mhm.
Panhandle, we are a supply store for pressure washing. We do a lot of shipping. We ship across the country. I do ship to Canada. I've shipped to Australia and Puerto Rico. So we have some areas outside of the United States we ship to. And we also do service and trailer builds and skid builds.
Hey. Okay.
Oh, I muted that. Perfect
All
time.
good. All good, all good. So you guys have quite the operation set up there. So you guys also have a free training that I see that you guys have been doing for some time. As
Mhm.
we're gonna expound upon that later on the video, but can you just talk about that as well? Because I know that event's coming up soon.
It is. It's actually November 13th and 14th in Panama City, Florida.
Hmm.
We were doing it in Sandestin, Florida, but we had a little issue with the venue, so I moved it to Panama City. There's an airport in Panama City on the registration site. If you scroll down to the red letters that say "Show More," you can click that, and there's the discount codes for the accommodations in that area. It's going to be a great event. We've already well, as of last Thursday morning, we have 307 registrations already for contractors. So it's going
Yeah.
to be big. There's going to be so much networking. We're going to be doing the social Wednesday night. It's going to be a family friendly location. So they can bring your wife and kids and still network, and everybody can be together and meet each other's family, because the family is also a part of this industry.
Mm-hmm. No, of course they are. So November 13th through November 14th
Yes.
in Panama City. And we will give
Yes.
you guys the URLs and the links to that below in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or the podcast will be
Mhm.
panhandleexpo.com, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right, then. Perfect, perfect. So, Trudy, let's go ahead and just talk about your journey and how you got started in the exterior cleaning space. Because as you mentioned, you said that you've been doing this for over 18 years. So can you just
Yes.
tell us just, you know, if you want to go on your upbringing, you definitely can, but can you tell us how you got started in the exterior cleaning industry over 18 years ago?
We did. We live in a smaller area. I mean, it's grown now, but when we first moved here, it was small. There
Mhm.
wasn't a lot of pressure washers. I worked as a retail store manager
Mhm.
for a sports, not big sports, like not like Dick's Sporting Goods or anything. It's a smaller store. And Shane was actually selling flooring on commission.
Okay.
So we were pressure washing on the weekends, part-time, after hours, friends, family, just getting into it. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the housing economy crashed, nobody was buying flooring
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's losing their houses. They weren't building them or replacing carpet. So Shane wasn't making the money to pay, he needed to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost my job because the company said I lost my ability to lead. And when they let me go, 2/3 of the staff walked with me. So the reason they let me go is they could pay my assistant manager less because I had more management experience than he did. So we found ourselves both out of a job real quick and dove into pressure washing full time. This was in the beginning of '07. So we'd been doing it part-time before that, just with a little Home Depot pressure washer like everybody starts out with. We found a trailer with an 8 gallon a minute on it, hot water machine with a Pressure Pro. We bought the trailer and Shane told me I could use the 4 gallon a minute. And I said, no, I didn't come to play. So we found me another 8 gallon a minute and we worked side by side for years on that same trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I think our first free training event was in Tampa, and I believe it was either '08 or '09, one of the two. I think we probably went both years. But we started doing the events, we started upgrading the equipment and just growing our business. And, I've been doing the marketing for Classic Touch, getting business out there, every door direct mail, just talking to people. Shane does all the book work and all that kind of stuff and all the quotes and bidding. And then, we work together side by side. I opened an internal cleaning business also. So for 17 years, I was working 7 days a week. And yeah, so I just gave that up 2 Octobers ago, the cleaning. So now I have my weekends back, which is great. But I also opened Panhandle in between working those 7 days a week. So I'm not sure where I found the time, but I did. Then we opened Panhandle because working 7 days a week, I'm 54 now. We opened Panhandle when I turned 50 or right before I turned 50. And, my body isn't built to do that type of work at this age every day. So we didn't have a local store anywhere near us. There's so many more pressure washing guys out there now. There were 4 when we started. There were 4 guys in this area. That was it. So it was a great location to start this industry in this industry. So we decided we'd open a location on our property for the local guys. And then I started mentoring and I started teaching. And then all of a sudden, in less than a few months, I was shipping everywhere. And that was another reason I had to give up the internal cleaning because I didn't have time. We grew really fast. And as being a contractor as well, and still am a contractor, I know how important it is for my contractors to get the items they need. You're not going to go buy your wife a surface cleaner swivel for her birthday. I know you need that because your swivel just broke and you need it to work. So I'm going to make sure it gets out as soon as possible, usually the same day if they're ordered in time. So that was a transition. I'm still out washing any big commercial jobs. I go out and do parking garages and subdivisions. I still go out and do those. I love it. I like getting it's a little break from the warehouse, but I also love being in the warehouse and able to talk to contractors on the phone and everything. So
No, of course, of course. And I know for you, you're very big on you've handling just industry issues, just like the paint issues that you talked about. So I remember the Sherwin-Williams, right? When it came to that,
yeah,
go on.
yeah. I would say it's not Sherwin-Williams, so we can't put out that name. It's found more in Sherwin-Williams because they are the largest paint manufacturer in the world. So in a subdivision, you may have 2 homes with Benjamin Moore and the other 100 with Sherwin-Williams, just because painters choose that brand more. It is a pigment that is put in this paint. It can be put in any grade paint. It can put in any paint. I've had a couple Benjamin Moore change from testing. So, I want to get that out of everybody's mind. Oh, I'm washing this house, it's got Sherwin-Williams. And I keep saying it's not just Sherwin-Williams, it could be any paint. So I don't want contractors thinking they're safe because it's a different brand. I want them to be, I want them to be scared of any paint,
Mhm.
just to test and make sure you don't damage this person's property.
No, of course. And so that's what's good about how you still have and maintain your exterior cleaning business, while also doing Panhandle, power wash supply, because you're able to go ahead and relate to the everyday contractor in the sense of knowing like, hey, this broke on our equipment too, and this did this. So when you're coming out with new equipment, you're able to try it out. Because I know before we started recording or before we started live with this, I know that we were talking about beforehand how you try different things on your own company first before
Yes.
you even do that. So that gives you kind of an advantage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, we have a few months back, we've got the Leon Johnson MoFlow pump.
Mhm.
It's the new soft wash pump. And we've actually got it on Shane's rig right now, and he's using it, he's testing it, he's giving feedback. So anybody that calls and say, hey, have you heard about this MoFlow? How do you like it? I'm like, hold on, give me your name and number. I will have Shane call you. He's using it every day. Every
Mhm.
day, he'll give you the pros and cons of what it is. And, I do the same with the chemicals. I do a lot of testing with the chemicals, a lot because of the paint issue, but also because if somebody calls me with a question, I don't want to say I don't know.
Mhm.
And sometimes I do because I haven't came across that stain, but I'll get their information and I'll contact my suppliers and their chemists and find out, hey, I've got this stain on this substrate. What do you recommend?
Mhm.
And, I try to make sure that I give the best correct answer because I don't want these contractors fail. I'm not setting them up to fail at all.
Mhm. And so you would probably say majority of the guys that really ask for a lot of your help, and of course there's going to be super experienced guys that also ask for
Oh,
your
yeah.
help too, but a lot of them are going to be new people coming into the game.
Mhm.
So you owning not only an exterior cleaning company, but also owning a, equipment manufacturer and, you guys ship out supplies, all of these different things. What better way for me to do that than ask you the question, like, if I'm a new contractor, right, and I'm watching this and I'm like, all right, then what would Trudi say in the sense of, should I go ahead and invest into marketing or should I invest into equipment when I first
Mhm.
start my business? Like, what would you say to the new exterior cleaning contractor that's just getting into the game about that?
Okay, so if a contractor comes in my store and he's like, I'm just starting, I need equipment.
Mm-hmm.
First, I'll ask, what is your budget?
Mm-hmm.
Second, I'll ask, what are you planning on washing? Are you going commercial? Are you doing residential? Are you doing both? Are you going to do roofs? Are you not doing roofs? Are you doing bin cleaning? Tell me what you are wanting to do. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can grow from that, but most guys start, pretty much as residential. So I want to find out where they're starting. But I've had some new guys come in that's been talking to this huge commercial complex and they're going to do all the storefronts and they have no equipment yet. So that's going to be a whole different conversation than the residential guys.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to come in and say, I want an 8 gallon a minute. I want an AR-45. I want a mini Mondo. I want all electric hose reels. I want all this. I want this. I want the Flow Pro. I want
Mhm.
a DS Pro. I want the everything. And I'm just like, okay, what's your budget? Okay, well, I've got $6,000. Well, honey, you're not gonna get all that for $6,000. So let's see what you can get with your money. But I also want them to go away with money left in their pocket for the marketing and
Mhm.
for any breakdowns or other specialty chemicals they need. So if I take that whole $6,000 from them,
Mhm.
they go out and do a job and something as simple as they blow an O-ring
Mhm.
and they can't do the job, then they gotta come back, they gotta buy a pack of O-rings, and if I've just used all their money, they don't have the $18 for the O-rings.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a minimal, thing, but they could, their equipment could break down, if they've got a pull start machine, they could pull it and break, the pulley cord, so that way, they have money for these sort of repairs, or if they've got a job that's got irrigation stains or rust, SH isn't gonna take that out, so they're gonna need money for the chemicals in order to do the job.
Mhm. No, and you're right about that. So I guess I'll ask a two-part question now for
Mhm.
you then. If I'm a new contractor and I am mainly going to be servicing, because probably 80% of guys are probably in this predicament where they're going
Mhm.
to mainly be servicing like residential customers, right?
Yeah.
What typical budget do you usually see for guys that usually like, and I know some guys might come in there and say, I have Trudy, I have $45,000 I can spend, but what is like the typical budget that you see that guys have? And then off that typical budget that you usually see, if they're servicing residential customers, and they provide exterior cleaning like house washing, deck cleaning, driveway cleaning, and things like that, what are, the no kidding, like this is the things that you just need, as a basics, and then, you can look to upgrade later. What is like the starter kit they need?
Okay, well, depending on if they have a trailer or not, a buffer tank. If they
Uh-huh.
don't have a water buffer tank, then we're gonna start them at a 4. You
Mm-hmm.
can maybe possibly use a 5.5 with a garden hose.
Mm-hmm.
But if if that house doesn't have good water pressure, you're gonna starve your pump and then you just ruin your equipment. So
Mm-hmm.
I never suggest that, just to be on the safe side.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a 4 gallon a minute, you can get one anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500, depend on the brand and if it's pull start, there's different variables. So I try to stay in their budget and say, okay, we've got this, we can get you the hose. It comes with a 50-foot hose, but you really can't reach too much with that. But if they're fine with the 50-foot hose, they don't need a hose, that's fine. So I get them that. We get them a surface cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of them come in, they want a 4 gallon a minute, and then they want the 28-inch big guy. The
Mm-hmm.
rule of thumb is, 1 inch per 4 gallons. So you've got, 1 gallon per 4 inches. Sorry, I did it backwards. So if you get a 4 gallon a minute machine, a 16-inch surface cleaner is going to be what's recommended for that machine. So you just have to be knowledgeable on what they're doing and what's going to be best for them. I've lost so many sales because I talked them out of buying stuff they don't need, which my husband looks at me and, what are you doing? I'm like, well, they can't use it, and it's not going to work. So hose reel, it's not really necessary. It
Mm-hmm.
will help them be more efficient. So, it's based on their budget. If they come in with, $2,500, I can get them going for $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
If their budget's 6,000, I'm like, okay, well, now you got a little wiggle room. Do you want a hose reel? Do you want a manual? We have very inexpensive hose reels that are going to withstand and stand up to what we're doing. We've got inexpensive aluminum ones. So
Mm-hmm.
we got painted ones. It's just based on their budget. I can set them on any budget and get them to work that day. But you just have to know what you're going to be doing and make sure you get the right equipment for that job.
No, understandable. So, what are some of the most common mistakes you see like those new contractors make, and how they can avoid those mistakes?
The largest mistakes I see are contractors taking jobs that are too large for them. They don't have the equipment for.
Mm-hmm.
I see that a lot. And then failing to network with the other contractors or work with, we still at Classic Touch, we partner up with our other local washers. So if we've got a big job, we've got the equipment to do it, but we could take 2 weeks on doing this job or call 2 fellow contractors in and get it done in a week so we can move on to other work. So I feel like they're scared of talking to their competition, and they're scared of asking for help or scared of shadowing them. It shouldn't be like that. And I've worked so hard to try and make everybody try and work together and partner together for the good of everybody. And that's why I'm going to go back to the event. That's why I love doing the event, because the networking, it breaks down all that fear. And I love just walking around seeing contractors just talking. They're sitting there over coffee or over a beer, and they're just talking about everything. And they love giving that information out.
Mm-hmm.
But I
No,
think
no, go on.
so the biggest thing is taking jobs that they can't handle or they don't have experience to do.
Mm-hmm.
I get a call. So how do I, what do I use on this metal roof? Have you done a metal roof? Because in all my years experience, I still don't like doing metal roofs. That's very scary. But if you don't know how to do something, learn before this is their customer's biggest investment. So I think that's the 2 biggest mistakes that I see.
New contractors make. So
Yeah.
what's the mistakes that you see them make with equipment specifically as well then, since you're an expert on equipment as well? What are some big things that you see that they make mistakes in terms of equipment? And you may have already answered that, so you can say, Jonathan, I kind of already answered that. I don't want to be repeating myself all the time,
Oh,
so.
no. Actually, this is funny because I've got a customer's trailer out there that we're fixing again. And the biggest problem with his trailer and all his equipment failure
Mm-hmm.
is he doesn't rinse it out. You pull out a hose on his AR-45 and there's bleach just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You turn on his machine and there's black water coming out of his high pressure hose
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't rinse out. That's the inside of his hose that is sitting there getting just absorbed.
Yeah.
Chemical, it's just ruining it. All the metal in there is yucky. So just, cleaning your equipment, maintaining your equipment, rinsing out your injectors and your hoses at the end of the day. We do that religiously. The AR-45, just make sure you rinse it out, run water through everything. Spray down your equipment, your trailer. We have a neutralizer that we run through our injector and we spray it all over our equipment and rinse it off. And, the corrosion is limited. I mean, of course, we're going to get corrosion, but it's not going to be in, a couple months. It's going to be years.
Mm-hmm.
So just taking care of the equipment is what, being in the store and doing the service, having the service department, I see a lot is just negligence of their equipment, which
No,
is costly.
no, it definitely is. And Trudy, you're getting me out of my comfort zone in this sense because I know I'm usually like the marketing guy with all of this stuff and like building and selling and marketing, but I really want to have you on because I wanted to have a different set of thing on it. We talk about equipment because some guys are like, hey, I like the trades and all of that. So one thing that I do also want to ask you as well is that I saw on Facebook one day you had like a kit and it was like an emergency kit that everybody should have,
Mhm.
right? Like, so can you expound upon that too? Like, what are some things that every like exterior cleaning business owner should have on deck, like that routinely gets broken or that like it's something that is like, hey, you need to have this like life or death on, like always on. Like, can you go over some of those items and also the kits as well?
Yep. I always recommend a backup of everything. I mean, honestly, if you are, especially the larger guys, it's got the big trailer and they're working and they're booked out 3 or 4 months. If you're running a 12 volt, have an extra 12 volt, extra hoses,
Mm-hmm.
surface cleaner swivels, depends on what you're doing. So if you're a big commercial and you're using your surface cleaner every day, have extra bar swivel nozzles. But for the regular residential guys, I would say have a backup hose.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, it's called a reusable coupler that you can actually fix the blown hose on the job site. So if your hose blows, you just take some kind of saw, like cut through metal, and you connect it together. So you can get back to work. That's a good thing to have on there. O-rings, definitely. O-rings, a 1/4 inch and 3/8, because everything on the front side of your gun is gonna need a 1/4 inch. Everything on the back side of your gun, where your hose is, everything back there is 3/8. So you're gonna need both sides of those. Plugs, couplers, injectors. I always use it like a pick set just to get the O-rings out.
Mm-hmm.
Swivels, ball valve, hose clamps, just in case on your stopwatch something pops off, you've got extra hose clamps. I think that's about it. Just the basic little necessities. In that emergency box, we have the swivel, we have the DN10, we have 5 of each plug and coupler in both 3/8 and 1/4 inch. We have the O-rings on both sides. We have the pick set. We have the hose clamps. There's probably more in there, but we don't charge any more for that box. We charge what's in there, and for the cost of the box, that's it. So, I mean, it is pretty expensive, but it's got a lot of stainless steel parts and everything you're gonna need.
Yeah, no, so that's awesome. So I saw that. I saw that. And like as I said, guys, all of her stuff will be in the description for all of that stuff that you guys can go ahead and visit. So kind of segueing into this, how have you seen the pressure washing industry? So I mean, you've been in, like I said, for over 18 years. So how have you seen the pressure washing industry evolve over the years, especially with the advent of like new technology, marketing strategy, and all of that? How have you just seen the pressure washing industry evolve since you first started in '07 to now in 2024?
So, a lot of it's going away from pressure washing. The soft washing is the new thing, which I've always soft washed with my pressure washer. I turned my ball valve, I've got a little ball valve, so I turned my chemical injector off and just use my soap tips to wash and rinse. So it's just like a garden hose. So I always soft wash with my 9 at 3,500 PSI machine. But the gas roof pumps, the 12 volts, well, the 12 volts have been there. We used that back in the day, but you know, the gas roof pumps, all the soft wash pumps that are out, that's new. Just the technology in like the Flow Pro, the bypass, and you know, turns off your injector so you're not pulling chemical. So it bypasses your soap and just does water, which is another thing you can use with your soft wash with your pressure washer. We have those on ours. We actually just are getting in new electric hose reels that have a remote.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I haven't. It's announced now. Everybody's gonna know. So we're getting those in. And the biggest thing I've noticed is, unfortunately, a lot of misinformation, because now we do have YouTube, we have all the internet, we have a lot of the Facebook groups, and there's a lot of people out there giving advice that really doesn't know what they're talking about, and it's sad. You know, you see a guy on YouTube holding $100 bills, and like, I make all this money, and then you get a local contractor that's like, I can do this, go out there, quit their job, and they can't make the money that the other guy's making because they're in a different area. So I see, yeah. So it's just, you know, people message me, it's like, hey, I got this house, how much do I charge? I don't live in North Carolina. I don't know your market. This is what I would charge here, but it's different.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna wash in New York City, one of those big old places, or you're gonna go to Nebraska, the price is definitely gonna be a little different.
Yeah, no. No, and I'm glad you hit that on the head, because people will ask me the same thing, to where when I talk to people as well, I will talk myself out of sales too. Like I talked myself out of working with 2 guys today, because they want something that I know is not going to work in their area. So I had a guy that was like in where was he? He was in Iowa, right? And he was in this small town, and he's like, dude, I want to run Google ads in this area. I heard my friend, I was like, where's your friend, dude? He's like, my friend's in Seattle. So I
Yeah,
said, of course, Google Ads can work in Seattle. There's so much,
yeah.
the big population out there. It doesn't mean that it's going to work the same way in your area. Also, pricing, like you said.
Mhm.
Also, even the equipment that you need. Like I know guys that are in like Denver, Colorado, right? Denver, you don't like you're mainly only doing like 80% like flat work. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like there's no
Yeah.
algae or anything like that out there,
Mhm.
right? So it's like there's a lot of equipment that you don't necessarily need. And I talked to one of my he knows who he is as he's watching this. Talk to him, he's like, yeah, dude, I don't even know how to soft wash, man. And he like runs a very big company, but it doesn't require him to do so out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's every area is different, like you said.
It is, and I listen. I try not to get. I mean, I don't get involved in all the drama. Um, which this will segue into another question you're going to ask me, but I I've seen guys that have talked to contractors. Shane was born and raised in Cheyenne, Wyoming, so I know the dry. I was raised in Oregon, so we don't have this sticky mildew up there. And I know one contractor went down to a place, I'm not going to name names, and wanted to buy equipment, and they sold him a whole soft wash rig to go. He was in Colorado. And
Yeah.
now he's got this soft wash rig and he can't use it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would they sell that to him? Like, I felt bad. And it's, once again, you have to trust who you're working with. So, you know, on the Facebook groups, everyone like, oh, where do you buy equipment? Where do you buy chemicals? And everybody throws out names, and our name's usually one of them. But I get on there, I'm like, try and buy local if you can, because if something happens to your equipment right away and it's a manufacturer warranty, you can go right back to them. If we ship it across country, it's a little more difficult.
Mhm.
Um, and also, you know, speak to the vendor who you want to do business with. Find out if they know the industry. They're not just slinging stuff. They know how to use it. They know the outcome. You know, they know how the chemicals work. Make sure they know the industry and get a relationship with that. So when we were just watching before this, we had a great relationship with several vendors, and there's some vendors we didn't have that connection with. We
Mhm,
didn't feel like our time was valuable to them,
mhm,
and we didn't use them.
mhm.
So would I love to sell you guys stuff? I would love to, but I want you to have a great relationship to whoever you purchase it from. And that's why I have a great relationship with other vendors. I have a great relationship with a lot of vendors out there. They actually come see me. I've got a bunch of them coming to the event just to support me. It's a one vendor show, but they're coming to support me,
Yeah.
just to hang out and the event's not, even though it's a one vendor show, I'm gonna have some stuff there if you guys want it, but it is not based on sales. It is education and training, and everybody can't understand how valuable free training is. And I can tell you, it's priceless, literally. It's priceless. So you're gonna get so much knowledge and information, and just the networking. I learn something every time I do an event. I love networking and finding out what's new and talking to everybody, because there's something that somebody does differently that I haven't even thought of. The
Mhm.
outcome's the same, but if it's more efficient and I can get my job done quicker or safer, I want to hear about it. So, yeah, I really like to, those people need to have a connection with whoever they're buying it from, because we're not Amazon. You
Mhm.
know, what we need is specialty tools and chemicals. So,
Mhm.
I really want them to understand that it's not who's the cheapest, or it's who you have a relationship with. And hopefully you got somebody in your back door that you can, or your backyard, that you can go see and talk to personally. And that's what I hope everybody has one day, but I doubt it, because there's only a handful of pressure washers in so many locations.
Yeah, no, most definitely like the South up there in the Northeast, they have stuff like Pennsylvania, things like
Yeah.
that. Florida here. So yeah, you're right. When it comes to that, I think I saw like I do see you connect with a lot of your quote unquote competitors, right? I'll say quote unquote, like with the, just
Yeah.
with my hands.
I
But
call them co-vendors and my co-contractors.
yeah, so like I see that like I think I saw a picture with like you and Heath, you know what I
Yep.
mean? So you
Me
guys,
and Carlos and
yeah,
a bunch of
Carlos.
them.
Yeah, just like a lot of you guys are just really cool, and I think that's awesome because that's where the money's made, right? Like I said, there's more than enough money for everybody to go around when it comes to that, and just helping each other out when it comes to that. So, what motivated you? Because I know we'll talk about other things, as like you said, one of the questions that I have about handling criticism and all that, we'll get to that
Mhm.
definitely. But what motivated you to become a mentor for new contractors, and what do you find like most rewarding about it?
I had, when we started, there wasn't Facebook groups. There was nothing. We had forums that we had to read questions and find answers. That's what we had. And after going to the first free training event,
Mm-hmm.
and even just our suppliers, Russ Johnson was awesome. Shane would call him and
Mm-hmm.
have a question, and still do. He still calls him and say, "Hey, what's this?" And
Louisville, right?
yeah, and he'll joke around. He said, "Wait, you're my competitor. I can't give you answers." And Shane's like, "I'm not calling for Panhandle. I'm calling for Classic Touch." And Russ is like, "Okay, that's fine then. What do you need?" So we still joke around and give each other information. And we had some great mentors out there. And it's just something, you know, I don't want to go and do something I don't know how to do and maybe mess something up.
Mm-hmm.
So, or business. I just had somebody message me today, "Hey, how do you have your wash company categorized? Is it under construction?" I said, "No, we have it under cleaning and disinfecting." And then he texted me back. He said, "Oh my gosh, I found it. Thank you so much. I had no idea that's what it would be under." So just little things like that I was able to learn, or Shane was able to learn from our fellow contractors. I wanted to give back when I had time. When I was working all three jobs 7 days a week, I really didn't have time, but I did take the phone calls when I could. But I just want to give back to the contractors. I want to make sure that these contractors aren't damaging people's property because they don't know or they're scared to ask. I just want an open door policy so they can call with anything and without being belittled or made fun of, because a lot of these Facebook groups, there's some guys on there that aren't very nice.
No,
And, and sometimes they're scared to reach out because they don't want to look like an idiot, they're not. But I've seen some of the comments back and, they'll leave the group and I don't like that. I don't like that. I think everybody started somewhere.
mhm,
Everybody has questions. We all haven't been in this business for years. So the reason I mentor is because I don't want anybody to feel they're not worthy to do the job. I
mhm.
also want them to know they need to protect, their customers' property. And I also want them to know that if they continue to, damage people's property, the insurance rates and everything's going to continue to go up. From us, it's going to give the industry a bad name. So for the sake of the industry, mentoring and training and education is going to help that grow and
No,
be positive.
definitely. And this actually segues nicely into a question that I didn't want to go ahead and overlook because I know that you have a unique way of handling it. When you talk about things where if you damage things, insurance rates hike up, right?
Mhm.
And different things that make it harder to start and maintain an exterior cleaning business. So before we go back into like the community building and risk mitigation and all of that stuff, what strategies do you use to educate like your customers and manage their expectations? Because I'm glad that you said that when you talked about, the insurance and all of that and how you handle your customers and all of that. What strategies do you use to educate the customers that you guys have at like Classic Touch and like manage your expectations and also, you know, like dealing with issues like the paint, changes or oxidation, things like that. So like, how do you go about that?
So first, with the insurance as it is, I'm actually having an insurance agent come and speak at the event. I found some information out that I didn't know. I
Mhm.
just assumed that I paid for insurance and if I accidentally damaged something, it would be covered. That's not the case. So luckily for me, well, when we changed the two houses years ago, and I learned from that, I started recording everything. I started notating everything. So when I go walk around a job before we start, I've got my phone, I walk around, I point out things that might be an issue. I've got them on camera before
Mhm.
we start. So if the homeowner or the insurance agent comes back later and says, well, you damaged this, you're gonna have to pay, and it's not covered by insurance, I have proof. Also, you can show the video to your homeowner or just, walk them around and show, hey, look at this, look at this, it's gonna be a problem. I see your windowsills, leak, damaged up there. So it's not put back on me. Um, and I do talk to the homeowner, I tell them I'm gonna do a test spot on your home because there is some paint that will change colors when we wash it. I have no control of our own. And I do the test spot and they just look flabbergasted if it fails. They're like, what do we do? I do have a chemical that does clean it, but it's more expensive. So the price of the house wash just went up, or they don't get it washed. There's two options.
Mhm. So thank you. Yeah, so I think a lot of guys should do that. I know that one of our clients had an issue with that kind of stuff, and so that's actually good. Like you always want to record everything. You always want to go ahead, do a walk around or whatever it may be, because you don't know who
Yeah,
can say something when it comes to that, right? And
yeah.
so I think you already kind of mentioned it anyway, because I know on one of the questions I wanted to ask you was just going to be like, how do you approach and solve industry-wide issues? So I know we talked about paint, but what are
Mhm.
some other industry-wide issues that you also see that are common that are coming that guys or people come to you about all the time, right? If I'm a new listener and I'm like, okay, like yeah, I'm listening to Trudi. Okay, Trudy's saying this. So what are some things that you commonly see that's like industry-wide that are like issues that all the time, especially for newer guys or even more experienced guys?
A lot of it's going to be with the marketing. I tend to think out of the box in marketing. I do different things. So for Classic Touch, I make these pens. I have pens made. It's Classic Touch. I think just one might be no, not even ours, but a pen, just a regular pen. I actually do the cheaper ones. I actually do like this, just a
Mhm.
little pen. And I had 2,500 pens made, and they were like 49 cents each, just for the cheap pens. I bundle them in packs of 25. I put them in bags. Every time Shane and I go eat at a restaurant, anywhere where there's servers, and customers steal the pens all the time. So I give the wait staff these pens, but down here where I'm a touristy area, I do it in the off season. So I don't want the tourists taking my pens home because I'm not washing there.
Yeah.
But, so when the tourists are gone home, I take and drop these pens off where I know the locals eat, and they love it. And that's just, advertising. Another thing, we do is now fall is going to be here soon. And all the elementary schools have their fall fundraisers, and they all have silent auctions. We donate a house wash. We give them our logo. So our logo's up there, and we ask if we can get the list, the name and phone number, whoever, wanted to or did bid on that house wash, because they're not going to bid on it if they don't want it. That obviously they need this service if they're bidding on this. So what we do is we give the free house wash, and then we call everybody else, and we give $50 off or $100 off, depending on what the service is, and get their business too. So a lot of it's marketing, and they ask, how do you go get jobs? What do you do? And I give them my little tips of what I've learned over the years and what's worked. And usually, what is a free house wash? A couple hours of your time, $5 in chlorine, really, and your name is out there, and those parents love it. You're supporting their kids, you're supporting their school. They love it. That's just going to boost you up a little bit and get your name out in that community. So I think just figuring out how to get jobs is another big one. A lot of the things I get called on is chemicals. Everybody calls me and asks, hey, how do I get the state up? What do I do? And the biggest thing is, be careful not to mix chemicals. It can be a mushroom gas, but I think that just the use of chemicals, marketing, how to get jobs, that's a lot of it.
No, it is. It definitely is. And also just hiring too. And I know a lot of people also when it comes to hiring as well, that comes, but you hit the top one on the head. A lot of people, and just when it comes to marketing, because I always tell new guys, you just have to add, you don't need Google ads, you don't need SEO, you don't need any of that stuff when you're first starting off, because everybody, even marketing companies, right? Like even marketing companies, you don't start off, like even marketing companies don't start off just like using SEO or Google ads for their services. They might do things like cold email, which is the same thing as kind of like going door to door. It's just digital door, right? So those are different things that I also agree with you on that as well, right? When it comes to chemicals, and also when it comes to marketing, especially the marketing factor. So one thing I do want to talk to you about as well, is just going to be being a woman in this industry, right? So as much as people want to say, well, we look at it all the same, no, right? If there was like a plumber, are people gonna, expect a woman? You know what I mean? They're just probably not gonna expect that, right? So as a woman in the industry, right? What unique challenges have you faced throughout your own like career? And it doesn't even have to be within the industry. It can be like with a customer, and it might actually help you with customers, to be honest with you. And how have you overcome that though? And also like just navigated, like just being a woman in a just super male dominated industry?
I've had a few challenges. I'll pull up at a house and I'll have the big 16-foot trailer with all the big commercial equipment on it, and knock on the door, let them know I'm here, and do a walk around and show them, and they keep looking down the driveway, and I'm like, hey, can you do this by yourself? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be here about an hour and a half. I'll knock on the door when I'm done, and they're just, what? And I'm like, no, I've got it. Don't worry. And I did have this one instance, probably it was 2009, I believe. We had a bad storm come through, so we got backed up on work. So instead of me and Shane doing the couple big, huge houses, so instead of us doing them together, we just divide and conquered. I went to one big house, he went to the other, and the homeowner kept coming out. He's like, is Shane coming? I'm like, no, he's got the other job. Well, are you sure you can clean this? I'm kind of concerned that it's not going to get clean. And I was like, I've been doing this as long as Shane, it's fine. And he kept coming out, and finally I called Shane. I said, hey, you might not need to come out here, because I'm about to just pack up and leave. Like I'm nice, but I'm like, I'm about to leave. He keeps coming out, interrupting me, pointing out areas that I haven't even washed yet. I'm like, he's slowing me down. He's insulting me. I'm about to leave. So it was a house that actually was foreclosed on like 3 years earlier, so it sat there. It was so bad, it was stucco. And I ended up running out of chlorine, so I called Shane, and I livid at this point, but I was still smiling, so I called Shane. I said, I'm out of chlorine. Do you have any left on your, he goes, yeah. I said, well, come out here, give me your chlorine, and you better talk to this guy, because I'm about to, and it's not going to be pretty. So anyway, Shane went to talk to him, and he told Shane, he said, I'm worried about the cleanliness of the property. And Shane said, you know what, you're lucky you got her, because she's more detailed than I am. She'll look behind things, and she'll get all into the details of everything. And he said, I think you owe my wife an apology. So he did come and apologize to me. But at that point, I was just like, he didn't have a complaint about the clean. It was all clean. It just took so long because it was stucco, and it was, 3 or 4 years worth of mildew. But I've had that though. But I did show up at one job site, and I pulled up there, and the lady came out so excited, and she put me on her Facebook and everything. She goes, I own and run a paint company. She said, I am so happy that a woman showed up that owns and runs a pressure washing company. She said, this just makes my day. So, there are good with bad. Even now though, I'm on the Facebook groups, and I'll make a post, and a lot of the posts I make is to get contractors to think and start a conversation so everybody can discuss this topic with their different views, because that's how we learn. We're not all the same, or would be robots or boring. So I open these discussions. And some guys will just call me names and just, go back in the kitchen or go sit behind your desk. And I'm like, what? And I'm just like, whatever. I don't respond to those because I'm not going to lower myself to that. And most of the time, the other contractors that do know me will speak up and say, hey guy, back off, that's rude. And I won't kick them out of the groups, because they have their opinion. If they think I should be behind a desk, then they can think that, but I don't sit well behind desks. I gotta move.
Definitely. What advice would you give another woman that is like just up and coming and coming to the industry, or is thinking about joining the industry? What advice would you give her?
I actually did just have one reach out to me the other day too. Don't undersell yourself. We can do this job. It's not like we're lifting, 100-pound bags of anything. We can do this job. We can do it efficiently. We can do it effectively. Does anybody go to a male nurse and question him? Or a male teacher? Those are women dominated jobs. But, there's more of us now. I made a post the other day saying I believe I'm the only grandma out washing. And there was probably 20 or 30 grandmas that said, no, I'm a grandma, I'm out washing. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. So, there are women out there. There's not a lot, there's more now than there were. But, don't let anybody talk you out of what you can do. Just be strong. And if you feel down or feel like you're being belittled, reach out, get a group. I have a women's group, Women of Wash group, that we talk to each other. And we don't belittle men in there. There's stuff we talk about that you guys don't want to hear about. Hey, what shoes do you wear to work? What do what sunscreen do you put on your face to avoid wrinkle? Stuff like that. But if we put that in one of the unisex groups, we'd be laughed at. So, and it's more of a support. There's little things, that we need to do that men, they don't have to deal with their life. I'm not getting into details, but there's things that our body does that your body don't do. So, we have to figure out how to deal with that on the job site. Little hints on how to get the ladder off the top of a trailer. There's things that, because of our stature and our size, and we're not as strong as men most of the time. I'm not saying all the time, but there's challenges that we have to go through that make it a little more challenging and difficult. But you know what, we get the job done just as much as they do, and just as quick.
No, and I agree. And like the detail oriented thing is definitely true, because even on my team right now, like all the women are just super detail oriented. Like guys, and like men and women just have different strengths, and I'm not saying that like men are always better at women than this, or women are always better at men than this, but it's like there's going to be just certain things. And what I've seen just a lot of the time, even in marketing and just like this stuff, like women are just super detail oriented in a majority of things that they do. Like they're just like your husband was right, like Shane was right. Like women are just detail oriented. Like I didn't even see that, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely something that I can agree on. And thank you for that advice, because I know that we have some women that actually watch this, and so that would be good. And
yeah,
have them reach out to you and all of that. And
yeah,
so one thing too that I also want to talk about is like handling criticism, right? So as we talk about, let's talk about the infamous Facebook groups, right? So
yeah.
you have all of that. So how do you handle criticism or pushback from other contractors or industry peers who might be resistant to like the things that you say or the advice that you say? And I know you gave a little caveat saying that
Yeah.
like, hey, I don't say things to like to spark like controversy. I do it to spark discussion, right? To just
Yeah.
spark awareness. But
Yeah.
go ahead and tell me how you handle criticism and pushback and all of
You
that.
know, I usually, I deal with the facts. You know, if somebody, say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about, you need, then we're like, okay, well, I travel teaching. I'm certified in several areas of this industry. I've got the awards on my wall. I've had a magazine article written about me.
Mhm.
And, I mentor and go and teach through these pressure washing organizations. And, if I'm sorry if you don't feel that I meet up to your standards, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. I can't change their mind. And usually guys will jump in and they'll treat the guys just the same way they treated me. And some of those guys just, they have to be right. They
Mhm.
have to be right. There's no other way in the world that this, they're right.
Mhm.
And I don't come back at it. I don't take offense to criticism. I use it, actually, I try to benefit from criticism. I try to make a positive out of it.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if you've seen a post, we had some concrete poured and the concrete guys spilt concrete all over our driveway, which is less than a year old. And they used a high pressure 4 gallon a minute nozzle and etched the driveway. And
Oh,
everybody give me criticism. Well, why would you let them clean it? I'm like, they were cleaning their spills all over. I
yeah.
seen their equipment they had. I just figured they would use a chemical and rinse it off like I would.
Yeah.
They were hired to do the job. I figured they knew how to clean up after themselves. So, but I turn that into a positive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the F9 products. I'm going to use Craig Harrison's circle technique. I'm going to see if I can repair this concrete. I'm going to make a video of it. And there we go. There's a platform for education. So, I could get mad, I could throw a fit, but what good does that do?
Mhm. It does no good when it comes to that. It does no good. So I
No.
like how you handle that. So I know I got a couple more questions for you right
Yeah,
now, if you don't mind,
sure.
So can you share the most significant lesson you've learned in your 18-year plus journey in the pressure washing industry?
I
Just
think,
one, yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying there's so much, but I think the most significant is, letting go of your ego. Let go of your ego and work with others. It's so easy to work with other contractors, build each other up in the community and in the industry, and help lift each other up. I mean, you can't get on top by staying on everybody's head because you're going to be falling here soon. So that's the quickest way to fall, is just try and climb up on people. Just work together and help each other out. And another thing is, you wake up unemployed every morning.
Mhm.
Unless you've got it on your schedule, you wake up unemployed, you got to go get that job. And you've got to be professional, be confident, and be, proud of who you are and what you can do. Sell your job, sell what you can do, not yourself. So,
Mhm.
you want to say, hey, hire me. No, hey, this is what I've done. Here's before and afters. This is what I've accomplished in all these years. And, just go from there, just be positive with it. Nobody wants a car salesman. They want somebody that can show what they've actually done and their experience and their talent. So I think, working with each other and, just not being arrogant and just giving back to the community, donating something to your community, will it be a church or, I watched a lady's house that had cancer. She was going through chemotherapy and she couldn't afford it. And I watched her house. Unfortunately, she passed like 6 months later, but she didn't have to breathe. She could sit on her porch without inhaling all those mold spores, just do something for your community and people. And, karma's amazing. It'll come back to you, if you pay it forward.
Yeah, no, it definitely will, good or bad, right?
Yeah, good or bad. Yeah, it can be good or it can be the other thing.
Definitely, definitely. So I know your motto is stay humble, hustle hard. So that was
Yes.
that's kind of encapsulates how you are with everything
Yeah.
that you do. So you talked about your marketing efforts. So a lot of the stuff you already kind of hit down on what I was going to talk about. You talked about a little bit of your marketing efforts. So now let's just talk about kind of coming to the conclusion of everything. Let's talk about your training event, right? So can you share
Yes.
a memorable success story from one of your free training events that had like a significant impact on another contractor?
I do actually. I'm kind of sad about it though, because the first show wasn't actually a Panhandle show. It was called the Young Guns. It was in Atlanta, and it was in 2021, no, 2020. And at the end, and it was through COVID, so could only have a few guys there. Ended up being 169 people showed up, so we were probably over, but nobody got sick.
Uh,
um, and there was this young guy there with his dad and came in, and he uh, he was so sweet, and he just wanted to learn, and he bought a surface cleaner from us, and he called me every day, and he would talk to me every day and say, hey, I got this job, Miss Trudy. And I think he had a little bit of a learning disability, just, and he just kind of clung to me, and I mentored him, and I felt so proud. I was called every day, and I'd get a day and he didn't call, and I'm like, what's going on? So I call him. I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Oh yeah, I figured it out for myself. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, good. So I was like a little mother hen, and just to watch him grow, to see, an individual with a disability able to grow it into a business.
mhm.
It just even now, I think I made a post a while ago. It's like, when you mentor somebody and they call you every day, and then it's every other day, and then it's every other week, and then they stop calling, you kind of, it's kind of, you're happy but you're sad, and he knew, because he messaged me, go, I still need you. And I'm like, oh. But I think that still, I mean, I'm almost tearing up, because I was so proud of this kid. I was so proud of him for not giving up and not letting people shut him down. And I'm just so proud of that. And that's another reason too that I was mentoring. I was going to tell that story earlier, but I was saving it for this. But I just mentoring just fills my heart to be able to help somebody. And even if I can't help them, I know somebody that can. I
Mhm.
got a guy call for about a TPO roof. I've never done one of those, but I knew somebody that had. So I called him. I said, hey, can I give this guy your number? He's got questions. And he's like, sure. So, he was taken care of, and everybody's happy, and the job gets done and gets done correctly.
Mhm. So that's Trudy, that is awesome. That is truly awesome. So one thing that I always like to ask everybody too, as like one of the things, and so for you guys listening again, this will be November 13th through the 14th. And Trudy, I might have to pull up too from out of Tampa.
Yeah, come on.
But no, from November 13th to November 14th,
Yeah.
that's where it'll be, and it'll be in Panama City, correct?
Yes.
Panama
Yes.
City. And you guys can go to panhandleexpo.com to go ahead and get all the information, free t-shirts, free training, all of that stuff. You guys will be able to go ahead and go to that. So we will have all of that stuff in there. We'll also have your URL. So where can people find Panhandle Power Wash Supply? Where can they find that at?
At www.ppwsupply.com.
Okay, so
Or if you type in Panhandle Power Wash Supply, it'll pop up. But can I talk a little bit about the training real quick?
yeah, of course. Go
Okay,
ahead
so
and tell them
okay,
way
okay,
more about it, of course.
so our training is a little bit different. The night before we set up, and actually John Tornabeni's going to be doing his paid parking garage class on the 12th.
Mhm.
On the 13th, we're going to be doing circuit training. I've got 6 different training stations. One is basic troubleshooting, maintenance, and fluid changes on your equipment.
Mhm.
We have gadgets with Jed West. We have Greg Tatum coming with his green ox renew and his seal wet coatings for paver sealing. We have the stain and seal experts coming with wood restoration and staining. We have Stephen Golightly's going to be doing striping. So you do parking lot striping. He's going to be doing a class on that. And then we have a chemical expert that's going to be going over chemicals, how to use them. I would do that one because I love the chemicals, but I don't have time. I'm running a show. So that's going to be the first day. And everybody's going to have a chance to go to every station if they want to. If they don't want to, if they don't want to learn about striping, they can go inside and talk to the suppliers and network with each other. And then on the second day, we've got 4 speakers. I'm going to be me. I'm going to do my paint issue class. And then we're going to have Jeremiah Jarrell do plant and property protection. Depending on the time, we should have enough time. I may have the insurance agent follow that, because why do we need an insurance agent? Because we didn't protect the property of the house we're washing. So I think they tie in great together. We'll go out and take a break, maybe do a demonstration outside, come in and do one more class. And then after that class that's gonna be AC Locklear doing DOT rules and regulations. And if he has time, we may touch some marketing stuff as well. We will break for lunch. And then when we come back, we'll do another demonstration outside. Hopefully, I'm working on my demonstration, guys. So, and then come back in, and Carlos Gonzalez is going to be talking business. So he's going to have a long, I think he said his is going to be like 3 hours. So that's gonna be from 2 to 5. So I've got to juggle the schedule around. So everybody has time to see everything. Everybody has time to network. There's time to have fun and a lot of education. So I'm so proud of this event. I've amazing speakers. I was so blessed when AC and Carlos asked if they could speak at the event. I was just blown away. So it's going to be an amazing event for this.
No, they are 2 amazing guys, just like you.
Yes.
And then you're an amazing woman, but yeah, they are 2 amazing guys, and they've been right here in the position that you're in, where I was interviewing them on that as well. So
Nice.
they are, yeah, so they are definitely some good guys just like that. And I know you guys are going to put on an awesome event, especially since it's free. I'm looking at the Facebook post right now, and I already see a lot of people are excited about it. So, I'm looking at it. Yep, Carlos, all of this stuff that you guys got these guys talking. So yeah, so I'm glad that you went ahead and laid it out of what it is. So I'm sorry, I apologize for that, Trudy, because yeah,
Oh, no.
I definitely want you to talk about it. I definitely want you to outline just everything
Yeah.
that training event will be covering and everything. So I think that will be an awesome training event, especially since you're offering it for free. So it's like guys should definitely take advantage of that in that sense. You know what I mean? Like they should definitely take advantage of all of that. My last question that I have for you is just, I ask everybody this at the end of it, like, just what are some things that just make you a better entrepreneur that you may just do, like whether it's a habit, whatever it may be that like you do that makes you a better entrepreneur?
I am a people-pleasing workaholic.
Okay.
That is it. I will answer my phone at like 11 o'clock at night. It drives my husband nuts. If he takes my phone and puts it in the bedroom, like leave it there. And I'll answer anything. I just care. I care about the industry. It's done amazing things for me and my husband. We've built an amazing life with the wash side. The vendor, I mean, the store side, we're still young, we've been in 4 years, so we haven't shown a profit yet. You never show a profit, and that we've got to keep filling the shelves. And so we haven't turned a profit yet. Probably, hopefully in 7 years, we'll start seeing some money come back. But, when you have millions of dollars of equipment and parts and pieces in your showroom, you've got to, what you sell, you've got to put back in. So, thank goodness the wash side actually paid for a lot of the retail side. Thank goodness we had that to balance on. But I think me personally is just caring and taking that extra step to make sure everybody has what they need. If it's mentoring, or it's just putting goodies in their box to show their appreciation. I give them candy and an air freshener and something else, usually maybe a cozy, or maybe a keychain or something, just so they know that I appreciate their support in their business. Just little things, and just to know that I'm there and I'm one of them. I think that's what sets me aside. On the vendor side, on the pressure washing side, it's just what's built our business, just showing up, doing a great quality job, talking to the homeowner in a way they understand. You can get all technical and they're just looking at you like, what are you doing in my house? So, you just got to read the room and just make sure they understand what's going on. Same with the newer contractors. I can talk, and a lot of them is like, what's SH? What's surfactant? What is it? So sometimes when you've been in the business so long, you forget that these terms are not whatever, not common sense to everybody. They don't know, or common knowledge, not common sense, that, they don't know. So I think, able for me to grow both businesses successfully is just taking the time and putting myself back as a beginner and remembering, how I didn't know things and what I needed to learn and what questions I had. I think that's what I stay humble. I guess that's it. That's why I stay humble and hustle hard. That's why I wanted to come up with this thing. I know that slogan's been around, but that's why I made it with the pressure washing, gone through it. And I say it all the time after all my videos, because you have to stay humble if you want to succeed. And that's just my belief. May not be everybody's, but it's done well for me.
No, I think you're right on that. So I always ask, like, how does she able to manage both sides of things? But it's just through your hard work and just making sure that your customers come first and the people that you're mentoring come first as well. And so that definitely is a great thing. And I know that a lot of people feel your impact that you have. And so I know that you're greatly appreciated amongst a lot of your peers.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Well, Trudi, like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time today. And I really, really, really appreciate you for taking your time, talking about your journey, talking about life lessons, just talking about equipment, talking about marketing, talking about your training event, and everything that we covered in today's video. I really appreciate you for taking the time to do so today.
Well, thank you for asking me to come on and talk to you. It was really nice, and hopefully I get to meet you in person.
Yes, of course. Like I said, I probably will just go to that event, to be honest with you, like in November, but I'll definitely see you at Power Clean at the, it's in Orlando. I'll definitely see you there. I'm gonna pop out there for a little bit, but yeah, you definitely will see me. And like I said, it'd be lovely to meet you in person as well. And then just where the people can find you one last time.
The store is ppwsupply.com, and you can find me on Facebook Messenger. I'm in all the groups. Just tag me if you've got a question, or hit me up on Messenger. I'll answer you.
Yep, and then Panhandle, it's gonna
Powerhouse Supply.
No, for your
Expo
training. Yep, panhandleexpo.com.
Yeah.
Yep, so PPW Supply, right?
I said for the store.
Yeah, the store.
PPW Supply for the store, and panhandleexpo.com for the event.
Yep, for the event. Well, like I said, thank you so much, Trudi, and thank you all for watching the video. And so whether you guys are watching or listening, like I said, leave your comments and I'll make sure that they get to Trudi. All of that stuff's in the description where you guys can visit her stuff. And so for everybody out there, and you too, Trudi, thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next video.
All right. Thank you.